Hi, my name is Kim, and I'm the creator of the color readings. Now, when I say creator, what I mean is that what I do as the color readings is more like the result and the product of a lot of different influences that I've had throughout my life in terms of the people that I've met and that I've worked with and learned from. So, I mean, the color readings is not necessarily just my creation, like me, I've done this on my own. It's really been just a result of a lot of things that I've been allowed to and have had a privilege to learn and get to know throughout my life through the people in my life. So, that's just a little point that I want to mention because I know that in this world, so often do, billionaires and millionaires who have these companies that are apparently like their creation, they're all like, oh, this is my money, my creation, all mine for me because I came up with this when they don't, or when they're not honest about the fact that no, like what they're doing with their company, their idea, their creation is more like a result of all the influences, the privileges, the chances, opportunities, the people that have been part of their life and that have allowed them to be where they are. So, just like with me with the color readings, so where basically your creation is actually like a gift to the world from the world because the world has created you and has placed you where you are with the abilities and the gifts and the talents, etc., that you have. So, color readings, the color readings is my gift to the world, as the world. So, what are the color readings? Now, I don't want to like give you my sales pitch in terms of what I do and what color readings are and things like that. I just more want to look at, um, you know, why colors? What is it about colors that's so special? Why do I work with colors? What kind of getting more deeper into and expanding into um, sort of the basis of what I work with when I say I do color readings and I read colors. Just because it's something that's quite unique and I think one of its kind. I mean, I haven't actually heard or seen anyone before do what I do and or read any books about it. So I feel like it needs a little bit of an explanation and expansion. So that's what this video is about. Also, because when it comes to colors, our general understanding of colors and how we work with colors is still quite superficial, actually. Because, well, on the one hand, colors is something that we sort of take for granted. We wildly take it for granted in terms of, like, you open your eyes and you just see colors. It's just everywhere. Colors is just part of sort of the fabric of our reality. And we don't necessarily question, why colors and what are colors, and we don't really investigate it. And then people who do work with colors, like interior decorators, or sometimes companies will use specific colors for their logo, or, you know, um, use colors for like the lunchroom, or like stores will use specific colors for specific areas because there is a certain psychology behind colors and, how we react to when we see a certain color, how our mood can change when we see a certain color, how our appetite can change when we see certain colors. So there is a certain psychology behind colors, but again, it's like something that is not thoroughly understood or explored to the depths in which we are able to, and the depths in which colors actually exist. There's a lot about colors that we do not understand and we don't realize because we take it for granted because, it's just colors. Like, apparently, nothing special about colors, it's just part of our everyday reality. And yet, at the same time, there's so many things about our everyday reality that we do not question just because it's just part of our everyday reality. Why question anything? It's just here. So what? Just normal. But do we even know what normal is? Do we know our normal? Do we really understand why things are the way that they are? So to explain a little bit about how I work with colors within my color readings, like what is the context in which I work with colors? How do I see colors? How have I learned to work with colors? And what are colors as part of our reality? So I actually find that the easiest way for yourself to find out or get kind of a grip of what colors are and what colors do is to imagine that everything you see is in black and white. That when you open your eyes and you look at your reality, you don't see any colors and everything is in black and white. And just have a look at what that does to you on an internal level. And you'll find that actually suddenly what is missing? There's something missing there. Suddenly it's like it takes away all of the expression, all of the experience out of life. Suddenly everything is very just stable, calm, streamlined, straightforward. None of that kind of constancy and like a constant stream of experiences inside yourself. It all just kind of goes quiet. If you imagine that everything is black and white, it's like all of the noise kind of stops. And that's interesting because that means that when we look at our reality and we see all the different colors, we're actually constantly in some way or form reacting to all those colors. All those colors are constantly sort of impulsing certain experiences, certain expressions inside of ourselves, and it creates this sort of fullness inside ourselves where we constantly feel filled with experiences, filled with impressions, filled with expressions, filled with perceptions, filled with a whole bunch of stuff that is impulsed by all the colors that we're seeing with our eyes. So that means that colors are, in a way, a language. It's a means through which our reality expresses itself to us. Through which our reality lets us know certain things about what it is, about what and how certain things exist, as in the expression of it, the life substance of it, the fabric of the existence of all the things that we see and pick up on with our eyes. And so, in a way, colors are like the most basic language of our reality because you just see a color and you immediately sense something, you immediately pick up on something, you experience something. There's an immediate sort of feedback inside yourself where you don't have to use words, there's no real like thoughts involved or anything. You just immediately respond simply through seeing a color. It's like an immediate understanding of what something is, even though you can't necessarily bring it into words or are necessarily aware of what it is that you're understanding or what it is that you're seeing or picking up on, but there's something there. Something is being communicated with you through the color that you're seeing and the way that you respond to that inside yourself. And so the essence basically of what I do within color readings, I just see colors or I look at colors and I read them. I read into, okay, well, what is this particular color that I'm seeing telling me, and what's the message? What is it communicating? Within this basic principle that colors are a means of communication with reality. And then the other aspect of my color readings is working with sensitivity and intuition. So, working with basically the ability to see beyond what my mind is picking up on through my eyes. So, meaning to see more than what meets the eye, to see beyond, for instance, my thoughts, my opinions. Like when you look at reality, usually your first response to anything that you see is that within your mind, you'll actually have a tendency to already believe that you know everything, that you know what things are, you know everything that you're seeing, even people that you have never met before. Somehow your mind will create the sense that you don't have to really get to know people anymore. You already know. or you don't have to really look into things. You don't really have to investigate things. You don't have to ask questions. You already know. That's why we don't tend to question, things like colors or just our reality in general, because our mind creates that automatic response and sensation inside ourselves that we already know everything that exists, that we just look at something and, oh, I know what that is. Where there's actually a lot of things that pass us by, a lot of things we're not seeing, a lot of things we're not aware of. And just because we tend to trust our mind, we tend to trust our thoughts, our opinions, our reactions on things rather than seeing directly. And with colors or with color readings is a way of seeing directly through a form of intuition, which in a way you could say is similar to how psychics, for example, would see directly. They see things, they pick up on things, they see beyond the sort of mind's programming to believe that it knows, what reality is. Where a psychic will maybe just have a greater trust within their intuition, where they'll just pick up on things and they'll be more sensitive to seeing things than most people are. And so when I say I see colors or I read the colors that people are living, it means that I see them in here. I see them with, well, I suppose you could say my third eye, but it's not necessarily an eye up here, it's an eye here, where it's like a form of intuition. It's picking up on things, but through colors. Colors being just a very basic way in which reality communicates. And, it's kind of funny, and because it's so simple, because personally, I've always believed that seeing things like what psychics do, for example, that when you have a insight into reality or you see beyond what meets the eye, that it's something complex. It's some great ability that you have to, or that you're only gifted. You need to be gifted to have that certain insight. When, it's so funny that actually colors are such a simplistic, such an absolute basic and simplistic way of doing the same thing, of just getting in touch with reality in a way that's a lot more deeper and that goes beneath the surface. And it's also funny because I myself personally, I've never been gifted to see, so to speak. I mean, I have never been a psychic. And in fact, I would say that I've been sort of furthest away from a psychic because I was just not really very aware of anything. And with colors, it's just a way in which I personally have been able to sort of expand my seeing of reality. And I've been able to develop my own psychic abilities, my own ability to see, my own ability to have insight, my own ability to understand reality in a way that goes a lot deeper than meets the eye, and to really see into um, people and into myself and into reality in general. I mean, a whole world has opened up simply through color, simply through tapping into this extremely basic, simplistic way of communication of reality. And because of its simplicity, anyone can do it, anyone can learn to do it. I mean, there's a group that I started on Facebook a while ago called Being Who You Really Are, where I do color readings from time to time. And, we did this exercise a while back where we basically opened up the floor for anyone to basically, for everyone to just read a color, like any person reading a color for any other person. And it really turned out that everyone has that ability to sort of read another person through colors, through simply being sensitive to and trusting your own intuition when it comes to the colors that you see, where the colors will simply come up inside of you. You'll just sort of pick it up inside of you, and you just kind of have to trust yourself with what you're seeing inside of yourself. I mean, obviously, when it comes to reading a color, that within that, what I do is a little bit more in depth because it goes further than just seeing the color that comes up inside of you. Reading a color is to then take that color and bring it into words, like actually find the words. It's almost like pulling the strands of information from that color itself, which is quite a fascinating process because through doing that, and also with having developed myself more and more within being able to read a color and pulling out that information, I've actually found that colors are extremely multifaceted and multidimensional within their information. It's like they're holistic in a sense, where a color will, for example, if I see a color in you in terms of something, an expression that you're living, let's say a personality that you are busy living, which is then represented by a color that comes through. Now, that color will represent the essence of the personality that you're busy living. And that color will be extremely specific. Specific meaning that just a shade of difference within the color will mean an entirely different expression. So it's then my job to, when I do see a color, to then, well, basically, I go onto the internet and find the specific shade of that specific color that I'm seeing within you so that I can get the right words, the right information. Because if I were to pick a shade difference, a shade lighter, for example, of that same color, I will get a completely different expression, a completely different wording that would come through. So I found that and the more that I've been reading colors, the more multifaceted colors turn out to be in terms of how, for example, a color will show the problem and then it will also show the solution. Like it will show you like, okay, these are the words, these are the belief systems, these are the ways in which you are busy living this particular pattern, this particular personality design, this particular um, emotion or feeling or experience or whatever it is. This is how you're busy living it, and usually it will indicate a certain problem. Specifically when it comes to personality designs, which are like those kind of things that you just sort of have learned to live as coping mechanisms for things that happened when you were a child. So the color will show you like, okay, this is what you're busy living, but then what will also come through is a solution in terms of really being supportive of like, okay, this is how you can start working with this design, with this pattern. This is how you can start seeing through it. This is how you can start seeing beyond it. This is how you can start seeing that there's more to you. This does not have to be who you are. And it can be things that you've been struggling with your whole life, where this color will come through and just show you the solution. It will show you the key. And, obviously, when I started seeing that, I was blown away because this is quite a revelation for me that, okay, well, in this one color, the simplicity of colors can be an absolute world, like an entire story and just a world of support that can come through within when it comes to deep rooted issues that I've been struggling with as well. When I read colors for myself, it's like just this realization and understanding and depth of understanding that will come through from that color that will support me on so many levels, that will allow me to transcend or change or just quantify my process of changing something about myself that I've been struggling and dealing with for such a long time. So again, colors is, I'm baffled by the absolute simplicity of colors. I mean, even me, whenever I try to like talk about what I do, I read colors. There's this part of me that comes up and that's like, come on, colors? Really? You're an adult, okay? It's like, just because colors are something we take for granted so much, something we just look over, literally. and that we just don't ever, or that we've never recognized the power that exists within colors. And so it's quite mind-blowing now for me to be working with colors in this way, where I do readings for people to see the colors that they're living, and to then pull from those colors such a depth of understanding and information that goes to the core of who that person is on such a level that is just, you know, baffling, that is mind-blowing to me, that is amazing. So that just goes to show that we can't just take things for granted, and that the devil is in the details, as they say. And that colors is even such a simplistic tool of communicating with and understanding your reality that you can find out for yourself. You can see for yourself. Like when you are out and about, and or you're with a person that you know, and just in that moment you can check in with yourself and just have a look at, okay, well, all right, like what colors are coming up inside of me right now for this person? Or you can do it with yourself as well. What colors are coming up inside of me for me? What colors am I living? And you might be surprised at what comes up. There might actually be like a certain specific color that comes up. Like sometimes it can be the black color, like you also have to kind of be open to whatever it is that you're seeing, because you might not be seeing what you had in mind, and then because you had something in mind, you're not actually seeing what's actually there. So you have to kind of keep an open mind to be able to see and pick up on what it is that you're actually seeing, because the thing is that you are seeing something. Sometimes our mind just tends to get in the way of our ability to simply see what's actually simply there. So there will be colors, you just have to kind of allow yourself to be open to see it and pick up on it. And if you want, you can always ask for my feedback. Be like, just send me a message, be like, hey Kim, I saw this color when I looked inside myself, or when I was with this person. Can you give me some feedback on what this color is? And then I can assist and support you to also, develop your ability to start reading colors, to start, understanding and seeing deeper into a color, in terms of actually being able to describe to yourself what that color represents and means. And I'm sure that in the future I'll also probably consider maybe giving workshops to support people with being able to read colors, because it's just such a amazing and simplistic tool of being able to understand reality, being able to communicate with reality, understand reality, which can be quite nice, especially when you're like me, someone, like I said, someone who was never very much aware of the reality around her. Basically, I always had like issues with relating to people, understanding people. I always felt very alone inside myself because I couldn't understand people, I couldn't relate to people. And colors is also something that supported me to just get more of an understanding of how people exist, and that allowed me to sort of go like, oh, okay, that makes sense, to kind of give things a place rather than feel so very lost and disconnected inside myself just because I don't really understand what's going on in my reality. But for now, if you're interested in a color reading in terms of finding out what colors you're living more prominently, which is also something that I've noticed, is that I won't, like, for instance, I won't see all the colors that somebody is living in one given moment. Like, I'll only see what's relevant for that person in this moment. It's almost like, like I said, colors are like a means of communication of reality. So it's almost like reality is only showing me the colors that it wants me to see. So if I'm reading your colors, it's like on a deeper level inside yourself, you're only showing me the colors that are relevant for me to pick up on and see and read, because it's going to be supportive for you in your life at this particular moment with what you're going through or with who you are. And so that's also the nice thing about it. Because it's in a sense, you know, reality also not allowing me to abuse the power I'm given, so to speak. It's like you get this ability, but you know, it's not like a power that you can take advantage of or abuse in some way, because at the end of the day, I'm just the catalyst. I'm just here to, through my ability to read colors, assist and support others with understanding themselves better in terms of all the colors that they're living, all the colors that make up who they are and their life currently. Or if you're struggling with an issue and you're finding it difficult seeing your way through or finding a solution, I also do emergency color readings, which is basically, that's also a very interesting and fun thing. It's to see the solution through a color, where you can actually see the solution of whatever it is that you're dealing with, a problem, through a color, and learn what to do, what to look at, um, through a color, which is also a very interesting one to consider. So that's it for me for right now for this video in terms of the background or context or explanation that I wanted to give to the color readings that I do, just to give it just a little bit of context, because it's such a different kind of thing and a unique kind of thing that I do. Just to give a little bit of a reference, if you're wondering, you know, what it is that I do exactly when I say I do color readings, this is kind of the gist of what it is about, you know, how it's not just colors. I mean, yes, it's just colors. It's really that simplistic, but at the same time, there's a lot more to colors than you might realize. So, yeah, I would definitely recommend um, going for a color reading, and you know, you might be very surprised at what comes up and what you learn about yourself. I know I am every time. All right, thanks for watching, and bye for now.